And B.
Hey, so you're getting warm at McDonald's, huh?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm actually out in the Jeep warming it up so that I can talk.
Yeah,
Nice to have
yeah.
some privacy.
Yeah, sorry I missed your call last night. It was a little late, you know?
That's all right.
Yeah,
The lady who
so,
put money on my books in jail so that I could use the phone. It was way too late to do any good, but she made the effort, and that's important. Her mom had actually tried to do so almost over a month earlier, but the jails fucked that up pretty good. I never got that, so I never got to make my phone calls.
ah,
They pulled every trick they could to prevent me from showing evidence, even the public pretenders.
oh, I'm sure, Sean. Yeah, you're not going to be able to beat them on your own. They're going to protect their own butts, you know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
So,
I've
you
been
have to do
speaking
it
out
from
about
the
that for
outside
years.
somehow.
Do what?
You're going to have to do it from the outside somehow,
Yeah, I'm
you
doing my
know?
best. That's why I've been using Facebook to post up about the police brutality and the tactics of the public pretenders' offices. Mostly I
Yeah,
focused on
yeah.
Boulder, but I mean, I'm getting stories from people all across America.
Oh, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, my friend
So,
Mandy, she was in Arizona. She had some difficulties with her husband, and she decided to leave him. She called the cops. Cops didn't even show up.
oh, wow.
Did you know the number one reason for women becoming homeless is domestic abuse?
Uh-huh.
You turn in your predators, you end up homeless, and then the police become your predators.
That's crazy.
It is.
Yeah, abusive people wind up in powerful places so they can, you know, use their control or whatever. But, yeah,
Well,
yeah. So did you ever get what you needed from Amanda?
no, ma'am. I was able to get my computer back, but the notebooks that had all of the information, times, dates, and names, they lost them.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
Well, hopefully you have some stuff on your computer.
I do have some evidence on the computer. Thank goodness. There's a lot of stuff that's missing, but it's not missing off of that computer. It was stuff that happened in between that computer and because the computer I got now that I've been using, I collected so much evidence it was too full to collect any more evidence, and it busted the hard drive. So they replaced the hard drive, but I lost all the evidence.
Uh-huh.
A lot of it was one of a kind. I can't get it back.
Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't talked to her since the last time. I know when I called her to get your stuff for you the last time, she said she wanted you to call. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you know, they used that
when you
to.
get, huh?
When I left there, I had a pretty big sneaky suspicion that they were going to pull the shit they did. My second day up there, Lana put my hand on her boob because I was crying about Natalie, and after that, she was just snappy at me every single day. No matter what I said, she was snapping at me.
Yeah, that's horrible. Yeah, rejection, but you shouldn't have tried that anyway, you know?
Well, the thing is, she thought it would do me some good. Like when I was just up at my dad's house, he he has thought that hiring me a prostitute would fix all of my problems since I was a little kid. The first time he offered to hire me a prostitute, I was probably 13.
Oh, God, Sean.
Yeah, so this last time I was up there, he was like, "So you want me to go find you a prostitute?" I mean, I've had a few of them. I work at the bus station, and they offer me a lot. So if you want, I'll go get you a prostitute. I'm like, "No, Dad, no. If you
I
hire me a
don't want one.
prostitute, I'm gonna talk to her all night."
Yeah,
I actually had a
yeah,
friend of mine hire a prostitute for me once. She didn't tell me she was a prostitute. he stopped talking to me because I didn't have sex with her. She actually became friends with me, right?
Yeah, a lot of the prostitutes are women that have been exploited, you know?
Yes,
Raped,
ma'am.
molested, whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
you spent 20 years rescuing people like me from that shit, you know? I mean, you know, most of the stuff that I learned from you and learned from firsthand experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get me wrong, being molested is wrong no matter if you're a boy or a girl, if you're in the system or out. But like for me, I can only imagine what most of those girls go through having their own parents do that shit, you know?
Yeah, selling them. Yeah, whatever. But, yeah, I heard it's harder for guys than girls, you know?
Yeah, guys have to man up. You have to
Yeah.
man up. You hear nobody cares, nobody cares. Just shut up, dude. Just shut up. Nobody cares. 1 in 4 girls will be molested by the time she's 18. 1 in 6 boys will be molested by the time they're 18. 80% of all of the perpetrators are a parent, and most of those parents are the male parent. So I mean, it's stuff that I grew up knowing because I knew these people firsthand. The victims, when they try to tell on their parents, the first person they try to tell is their mom. And most of these women have more animosity towards their mom for doing nothing than they do their dad. And then they start cutting, and then they're mentally ill. So the parents go, well, she's mentally ill, she's lying. And then she gets locked up for trying to kill herself, you know? And it's like, no, you guys needed to remove her from the situation, but you needed to do so in a fashion that isn't abusive towards the child. And the system itself is abusive towards the child just because of their protocols. Like, she's cutting on herself for a reason. Find out what the reason is. Boys start committing suicide at 5 times the rate of girls starting at the age of 15. Girls start cutting on themselves at 5 times the rate of boys starting at the age of 15. That's because they have the same problems. They're just treated differently because of their gender. I knew that this was going to be a tough fight, Aunt B.
Yeah, yeah.
I tried to get the cops in Chapel to listen to me. They didn't want to. They told me I needed to man up. That's why boys kill themselves.
Write it down.
Do what? Do what, Aunt B?
I said, this is a write it down. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. That was my first real taste of white society after growing up with a bunch of minorities. Going there, hearing them blame everything on blacks and Mexicans, and there weren't none. White people don't make no damn sense, Aunt B.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of crazy, Sean. That's for sure.
I agree. For me, I mean, explaining autism to people is like, they got their own ideas in their head, and you just ain't gonna unseat that. And you try to educate them, and then they try to take everything that you show them as an education so they can try to understand the perspective, and they pull this shit like, you're a fucking snowflake, shit like that. Like, no, man. It ain't even like that, you know? Or they pull that stuff like they try to twist it. Like my dad, he recently found out about the freeze loop, right? And that's where you get stuck on something until it's resolved. But see, he thinks everything's the freeze loop now. So he keeps throwing that in my face. Like, you get stuck on the same thing. I'm like, yeah, I got to go back to the beginning because you're jumping around on the timeline. You need to understand that it happened in a particular order. I did the best I could and made the best decisions that I could with the information at hand at the time. But, with me still having people threatening my life, calling me all sorts of fucking cruel names and shit that I didn't do. Like, I still have people that call me a murderer. Like, no, the dude is fucking convicted. He pled guilty. He's in fucking prison, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That ain't right.
While I was in Sydney trying to help out Des, I talked to a police officer about her. I got home and Des was naked as a jaybird, so I left. She was fucking screaming at me naked as a jaybird in the hallway. Fuck. The cops showed up. What?
What's a jaybird? A jailbird?
No, it's just a saying. But when the cops showed up, I was talking to them about, you know, she was in a pretty fucked up abusive situation and she needed a shelter. They said that they had 8 houses that were donated to them just in Sydney for a woman's shelter, and they can't use any of them because of all the red tape. So if you get beaten in Sydney, Nebraska, you got 2 choices. You can take it or you can end up homeless. And fuck, what kind of a choice is that? Especially if you got kids. And I don't know, that something's got to be done about that. I mean, they're making all sorts of money off of the homeless, putting them in jail and taxing the American people for that. We got to find a way to make that stop.
Yeah.
I'm trying from the outside, but my dad just was not down to help. He wasn't down for me even trying to do the right thing. What he was down for is me staying in his house, getting verbally and mentally abused, being trapped, and being told that I wanted it, needed it, chose it, or deserved it. Now, I remember listening to that growing up when Steve couldn't keep his hands to himself, and he was the sex ed counselor, you know? When I told on him, I remember what they did. They strapped me down to a bed. They put drugs in me. I made sure, because he was off for the next 2 days, I made sure that I threw a tantrum every time they were going to let me out of the timeout room. That way I could fill up the, they give you a bottle you can pee in. I filled up that bottle, and when he finally came to work, I threw a tantrum big enough that they came in with the riot shields, basically. And they came in with them, and I fucking jumped over the top of that riot shield, dumped that bottle of urine right on Steve's head.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you need to stick your dick somewhere else, motherfucker.
Right.
Matter of fact, when they first put me in the timeout room, he punched me right in the jaw. I think I was like 12 or 13 at the time.
Oh, cow.
Yeah, that was at Fairfax Mental Hospital in Kent, Washington. But that's the thing, most of these kids that end up in the system, they end up in the system because they were victims, not because they're predators.
Uh-huh.
They get desperate for somebody to listen to them. And there's a lot of people that like to push that tough love thing. It's just tough love. I just say that because I love you. No, you're dismissing me as a human being. That's not tough love. That's the opposite. Of course, you know all about that.
Yeah, they'll label whatever's convenient.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright, this thing's warm enough I can turn it off. I'm trying to conserve gas. And thank you for calling
So
me.
where are you exactly?
Do what?
Where are you at? What state?
I'm still stranded in Bozeman.
Is that Montana?
Yes, ma'am. It's probably about 30 miles from where Lana and Amanda live, and I think the next town over is where Miss Jerry lives. Jenny works at the IHOP, so I'm just making sure I don't go anywhere where I'm going to run into them. There's a possibility of running into them at the grocery store, so I try to go to the grocery store for a very short amount of time, get exactly what I need, and get the hell out. Yes, ma'am. They pulled every trick they could to prevent me from showing evidence. So I need a lawyer, but before I can get a lawyer, I need people to speak out about what happened to me. And after the way they painted me, like, yeah, people are afraid to come forward. And most of them were afraid to come forward to begin with because of the police brutality. I had 3 women yesterday tell me that they wanted to come forward, but they're too afraid of the police in Boulder. One of them even told me about an officer, the officer that we all had a problem with, Officer Keith Steinman. He tased a guy on a bike, a kid on a bike, while he was riding it. Like, they're getting out of control. They knew exactly what they could get away with it because you're homeless, and people aren't in your corner when you're homeless. They're too afraid.
That is crazy, Sean.
I agree. So I got screenshots and evidence, but I need somebody to take a look at it. I haven't been nice. I haven't been nice at all to these people. Well, I haven't been nice to the predators. And the ones who tell me dismissive shit like you just gotta love yourself. If I didn't love myself, I wouldn't still be fighting.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. I mean, I want to die every moment of every day because I still am separated from my loved ones. I got a warrant in Nebraska, too.
For what?
For breaking some computers and for not showing up in court, but I was locked up, so I couldn't show up in court. And I tried calling my attorney. They wasn't answering their phone. It wouldn't even go through.
Oh, wow.
Yep, so I tried calling her after I got out of jail. She wasn't interested in talking to me. She was actually very rude and inconsiderate to me. They always are.
Yeah, do they have any resources for homeless people up there, Sean?
They certainly do.
Good. So what do they have?
They have a warming center and a homeless shelter and a drop-in center for the daytime.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Have you been accessing that?
No, ma'am. I'm trying to get the hell out of Bozeman.
I hear ya.
It's colder
Yeah,
than...
did you guys get a bunch of snow up there?
Yeah, it's been snowing nonstop since I got here. We got 8-foot drifts in places. Matter of fact, I'm looking at a tree that's got snow probably about 12 foot up it.
Yeah, we got like 3 inches here. So far.
Inches?
More today and more tonight.
That's so cute.
What?
You guys got inches of snow.
Instead of feet?
Yep.
Yeah, I wonder what it's doing in Minnesota. They're probably really getting dumped on where my brother lives.
They probably are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really need to find a way to get somebody to take a look at this Aunt B. You know, when I busted them computers up there, it's because I was still trying to make a police report against them officers in Chapel, and I couldn't get them to do it. Officer Bill Burr, he was a fucking dick. And the lady from Region 1...
law enforcement here, I'm not impressed. They're pretty big assholes.
They are indeed. If you got money and pull, they leave you alone. If you don't, the people with money and pull don't like you. Just like anywhere else, they don't want to see poverty.
Yeah. Yeah. Even, I don't know, Lori bought a car, and it was titled out of state, so the sheriff had to take a look at it. He was a real dick. He was doing that, you know?
Yep, Sheriff DaCosta.
Yeah, I haven't had run-in with them except for when I kicked Bev out. Other than that, maybe the cops have changed since then, but yeah, I don't want nothing to do with them. Heck no, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, they let me have that recording between me and Officer Anderson, and you know, they realized probably within 10 minutes of giving me that I was going after the son of a bitch for not doing his job. After that, they did everything that they could to prevent me from being able to do that. I even went and talked to Joel J, and man, that guy was such a prick. He was telling me,
to protect their own. They go out and have coffee after work, you know?
I know,
Whatever.
I've seen him do it.
They're buddies, you know?
That's the problem with the small town. That's the problem with the police and the prosecutors to begin with, is that they are all buddy-buddy.
Oh, yeah.
They make a lot of money.
Right. Gonna have to do it from the outside in, somehow.
Arapahoe County has a 97, over 97% rate of people pleading out. It's because they keep you in there until you lose everything. And when you lose everything, and you know that your public pretender ain't going to do nothing, you know, they let you know they're not going to do nothing.
And like that time I got that warrant in Denver, you know, I had a fix that, well, kept headlights out, tail lights out or something, but I had a receipt. I just got it out of the shop the day before for that. And yeah, I couldn't even present it. I could either plead guilty or come back. So I thought I'd come back, and I never did. So that's when we moved to Nebraska, and it disappeared. God.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to forget my name ever. The things that they did to prevent me from going to court, to prevent me from defending myself. Like that night, I was at your house and Natalie called me wanting to kill herself. That right there was such a fucked up situation, and that was so much pressure on me. And I understood that I was already late to getting there, you know? I was supposed to be there almost a month earlier. But, like, and I wasn't trying to dump that on you that night, but, like, you know, she saved me.
I just wish I wasn't in the hospital. I could have done something, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's not your fault, Aunt B. I mean, all this stuff, there was a lot of people, you know, that said that they was going to help me. And then, you know, family situations and health situations almost nonstop. A lot of these people, like Dee Dee, you know, she was having problems with her family and sickness and death. And Missy, she had problems with people being sick and dying. And Mandy, she got sick herself, and her daughters keep getting sick and getting concussions and stuff like that. And Aaron, her son, had his jaw broken. And, like, damn, you know, these people are all the people that are trying to help me. And most of them I've been cut off from. While I was in jail, I had all 8 of the people who were actually trying to help me unfriended me. And I got back a hold of them, and they're like, nah, dude, I didn't unfriend you. Well, what the hell happened then, you know? But then again, the police got access to my Facebook way back in January of last year. That's what that Boulder police assault was for. They had to charge me with felony assault so that they could legally do whatever they wanted. And they sure as shit did. They broke the fuck out of the law in order to try to frame me for shit that I didn't do. So, a lot of people are like, you got to call a civil lawyer. I called so many of them, you know. I mean, that phone that I lost, it's got evidence of all the times that people kept telling me the same people to call, and I'd call them over and over again. I probably made easily 15 calls to the FBI. And that phone shows all the stuff that they put me through when they thought that I had killed her. Before they caught Joseph Lopez, that phone's got all the stuff that the cops did. It's got the stuff that the public pretenders were doing. It's got the stuff, I mean, they did everything they could to destroy my name so that nobody would listen to me. And then after they caught Lopez, like, nobody wanted to listen. And the cops had to do that. I mean, the cops in Boulder literally had to do that. I've been speaking out against their brutality for years. So, nobody was listening. The only people that were listening are the homeless, and nobody listens to the homeless unless they're homeless. But then, of course, it's too late. So, yeah, for me, trying to get the media to listen after that, they wouldn't. Trying to explain to people that someone has to go in with me, or they're going to give me the mentally ill treatment and they're going to treat me like they treat a homeless person. You're a liar because you're homeless. You're lazy because you're homeless. You're not making an effort because you're homeless. You're a junkie because you're homeless. It's about time that shit stopped. They assaulted the fuck out of me, though,
That's horrible, John.
It is. Well, they have evidence of it. Their jail cameras, they can never get rid of the jail cameras. That evidence is permanent, but I have to get a judge to requisition that. And because of the way that I was painted at the court dates I wasn't allowed to go to, the important court dates were not the criminal court dates. The important court dates were the civil court dates, because if I'd have been allowed to go to those and show evidence, those people never would have won. Matter of fact, there would have been criminal charges pending immediately after court. So they did everything they could to prevent me from being able to do that.
Yeah.
My dad, he was a complete dick about it, though. He's got the same ideas as Uncle D, but my dad's a lot more hardcore. He's also, like, Uncle D will have a conversation with you in a civil tone. My dad... Alright. He comes from a Germanic family where they're all used to screaming over each other.
Yeah. He was highly abusive too, wasn't he, your dad?
Yes, ma'am. Although he had some heart issues, and they had to crack his chest, so he's not physically violent anymore. Matter of fact, last night we had a pretty hefty argument over the phone, but he knew I was recording it, so he minded his P's and Q's pretty good and tried to watch what he was saying. If only I'd have had somebody to go into the police station with me. Like, for months, I tried to get people to coordinate with me so that I could get somebody to go in there, and the police couldn't entrap me. So my dad made mention of that. He's like, you're doing to me the same thing that you accuse everybody else of doing. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm recording the whole phone call. I'm not hiding any part of it, and I won't. That's not the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Me going after the police, though, I already knew that was a losing battle. But the fact is, if I hadn't tried, there's 100% chance that nothing is going to change for the better. Whereas, it's either take the abuse or speak up with the 1% chance, the 1% hope that it might change something for the better. And that 1% of a chance is worth it.
Yeah.
I even had some sexual predators come after me.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, ma'am. The guy's name is Derek. I was saying Derek Apicata, but, I'd never heard his last name before. It's actually Derek Apodaca. But I found out while I was in jail in Arapahoe County from Maddie, the girl who started the rumors in Boulder, the meth dealer. She was getting her meth from a guy named Jeffrey Ritchie. We used to call him Irish down on the block. And I was in jail with him. He told me about Derek and a little 13-year-old girl named Jasmine. She's actually addicted to heroin. She used to hang out with Natalie and Alicia. Also, he admitted that Maddie was getting her meth from him. He found God, so he's trying to turn over a new leaf. He's looking at 5 to 10 years in prison. So he was wanting to get it off his chest. He told me if I could get the officers to listen, that he'd make a report. Of course, they didn't want to listen. Every roommate that I had in jail hated me because every night and every day, no matter what, I was busy trying to get an officer to come in and take my report. I was trying to get an investigator there. I did get several of the inmates to write police reports about the abuse I was enduring and the hazing and the scamming and all that. And I still have those reports. I just can't get anybody to look at them. Now, for the tearing around town in Chapel, they did the same thing that they did in the Boulder case. See, Boulder, instead of keeping the charges and going to court, knowing that I had evidence that I could prove that they were doing wrong, they dropped the charges so that I couldn't have that evidence, which meant that I couldn't use it in any of my other court dates. They did the same thing in Chapel. Like, I shouldn't have had to break the law to try to get the police to take a look at what was going on and to document it. And then Laura, she's expressed to me on multiple occasions how afraid she is that they'll take her son. Like, hell no. They'll have to kill me before they take your son over this. She didn't do anything wrong. She's not abusive. When she had him in school and she was listening to the school telling her that, he was having an outburst every week or every 2 weeks, she told them what his triggers were, and then he was having an outburst every day. What that means is that after she told him what triggers him, they did that every day to him to try to get him to outburst. And they finally sent that lady who's helping her and helping her son, and that lady, like, she's a godsend. I wish that I'd have had a lady like that when I was growing up. But he doesn't have outbursts at school. He doesn't have issues with that, and she's there to help him, yes, but more so, she's there to make sure that they don't antagonize him. And yeah, I mean, the boy. He's badass. And I've been telling her for years, and Laura and I both agreed, he's fucking smart. He's really smart. And then they got him that computer program so that he could talk. He's probably the smartest kid in the whole school.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
That's awesome. I'm glad he's doing better,
Yes, ma'am. I got a couple other people I got to try to call, but my computer and my phone and all that, that's the main reason I go to McDonald's, is so that I can charge that stuff. But the major thing is, do what?
And get warm.
Yes, ma'am. Well, the warm is secondary.
Call, Sean. So.
Well, thank you for calling me, Aunt B. I'll let you know when I'm headed close to that direction. I don't know if you'll be able to maybe come see me in Wyoming or something, but I'd really like to see you.
Yeah, Chapel would suck for you anymore.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Last time I was there, I had people people who I helped to raise that got kids of their own now that were threatening me. I'm like, you know what? If I was going to molest kids, I'd have molested you.
Right. So, yeah, no, this is a pretty unforgiving fuck of town if you get on their shit side, so I really try not to have much to do with any of them,
Yes, ma'am. Well, you're a good woman, and you helped out a lot of people in that town. And you know what? Even the ones that are mad at me, a lot of those people you helped too. And I'm thankful for every person that you helped, even the ones that are mad at me. I am glad that people like you exist. I mean,
Oh, thank you.
And B, it's because of you I started the outreach down in Boulder. It is. I took the lessons that you taught me, and I did my best to try to help others with that. Anyway, I should probably let you go. My phone is down to, let me see, 17% battery, so it's going to start beeping at me shortly.
Alright, sweetie. Well, I love ya.
I love you too, Aunt B. Be safe.
Take good care of my Sean, hey?
I'm doing my best.
Alright. Big hug, hon.
I wish I was there to hug you so much right now. Bye, Aunt B. Tell Uncle D I love him.
I will, honey.
Give him a hug for me.
I know he loves you too, Sean. You know? He has an awkward way of showing it sometimes.
You're right. I know he loves me. I know he does.
Yeah. He's actually mellowing with age, I think, a little bit. That's good.
He certainly is.
Yeah.
I'm glad for that.
Well, keep warm, Sean.
Yes, ma'am. You be safe, all right?
I will. Love you so much.
Love you too. Bye.